Well, the Olympics come to their conclusion, and Team USA is golden in hockey. Plus, we talk about the remaining Olympic events: the four-man bobsled, the women's halfpipe ski, the women's curling finals, and the final medal count at these Olympics. All that and more right here on Coast to Coast Sports. But let's begin with the men's hockey team, Team USA, taking down Team Canada in what was an absolute thriller of a game. Look, I have only woken up before 7 a.m. for a sporting event 3 times in my life. The first time was during the 2022 FIFA World Cup to watch the United States lose to Switzerland. The second time was also in the 2022 FIFA World Cup to watch the finals when France and Argentina squared off in a historic final for the FIFA World Cup. And the third time was today, when the United States and Canada squared off at approximately 5 a.m. Pacific time, where I live, in the gold medal hockey match for the Winter Olympics. And all 3 games, I am so glad that I got up in time to catch the game. What a showdown. It's funny because hockey and soccer are not my favorite sports. If you know me, you know I'm a baseball and football guy. Like, that's what I love, baseball, football. But hockey and soccer, international games, and they're played at international time slots. So there we go. I'm up. I'm watching them. This was an incredible game. To begin, Canada was favored to win, and they have a stacked roster. Absolutely stacked roster, and they're led by probably the 2 best players in the world, Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon. But Team USA has the best goalie in the world, and that man is Connor Hellebuyck, and I was not familiar with just how dominant Connor Hellebuyck could be. He was stopping everything, and he's the reason why Canada was not able to take advantage of an early... look, Canada needed to take advantage of the power plays. That was very clear throughout the game, and it was very clear throughout the Olympics. Like, Canada was so good when they had an opportunity in the power play because they were so fast. It's crazy how fast they are. When McKinnon and McDavid are on the ice especially, but even the rest of their offensive attack, Canada's offense is insane, and they're probably the fastest group of skaters in the world. So they knew they needed to play fast. They knew they needed to just come out of the gate and score, and they knew they needed to take advantage of the power plays. And Team USA did a very good job. They took the early lead, and then they kind of just coasted. And the United States knew they needed to avoid a power play at all costs. So USA was being very, very careful not to foul, not to commit penalties. And then they did. They committed a penalty, a foul, if you will, in the second quarter. And all of a sudden, Canada had their first opportunity at a power play. And then they did it again. They did another penalty at the same time. And so suddenly, Canada had a 5-on-3. They took 7 shots during that 5-on-3. They didn't score a single one. Now, there was a couple of bad misses. Nathan MacKinnon had one, I believe, in the third period that really should have gone in, and he just missed it. But Canada, most of the time, Canada was taking good shots, and Connor Hellebuyck was just stopping them. It was a display for Connor Hellebuyck. He proved to the world he is the best goalie in the league. I know he was an MVP already in the NHL. Give that man every award you can give. He should have been the one to carry out the flag, honestly. He was so good. So we go to overtime. We're tied 1-1. Canada does tie it up at 1-1 in the second period. Third period is blanks, zeros. So we go to overtime. At this point, the only person who scored for Team USA is Matt Boldy off an Austin Matthews assist. For Canada, the goal came off of Cale Macker on a Devin Towers assist. Connor McDavid, who had the most points in the tournament, pretty much held scoreless, and they did a very good job. By the way, Macklin Celebrini, also an incredible player for Team Canada. I know he's an MVP contender right now in the NHL as well. Mitch Marner, Nick Suzuki, Brad Marchand. This is a stacked Canada team. And Jordan Bennington played very well as well. Jordan Bennington, I believe in the regulation, he was 25 out of 26. Very, very good. But Connor Hellebuyck was 41 for 42. That's a .976 save percentage. There's almost no way to get past that. And so Canada, without their team captain, Sidney Crosby, who is still injured, Canada goes out there in overtime, and it's 3-on-3, and they send out their three probably best guys, McDavid, McKinnon, celebrating and said, go win it right now. And what happened? The United States took the golden goal. It was none other than Jack Hughes who got the job done after his brother, Quinn Hughes, scored the winning goal in overtime against Sweden. So the Hughes family, just a very incredible Olympics for them, a very incredible Olympics for their mother, who, by the way, used to play for Team USA Women and now is a coach of the women's team who also won gold. How about that for the Hughes family? Just an incredible day, an incredible game. Team USA should be very proud of the way they played. It's their first win since the Miracle on Ice all the way back in 1980. They're now 1-4 against Canada in the Olympic finals. Previously, all 4 times they made the finals against Canada, they lost, had to settle for silver. Now they've won gold, and it is the United States' 12th gold of these Olympics. How about that? And what does this mean for Team USA? I mean, I think there's a lot of... Whenever we have these huge, big-time international games, this is the biggest international hockey game in a long time. Team USA, yes, they were the underdogs. And yes, I think they were outplayed, but they did win. But I think what this really means for Team USA is that they have caught up to the rest of the world in hockey. Because for the longest time, the NHL was full of Russians and Canadians and Europeans and some Americans. But now it feels like it has shifted. The United States is just as good as producing top-level hockey talent as anybody else, as any other country. And in fact, they are now the best in the world. So I think it means a lot for Team USA. I think it means a lot for national pride. I don't love the comparisons to... so many people are comparing it to the Miracle on Ice, and I don't love that. I think, the Miracle on Ice, it's a cool story, but that is not what this was. The Miracle on Ice was before NHL players were playing. The Soviet team was a stacked roster because they had their own professional league in the Soviet Union. So it was like a semi-pro team. The Team USA who won during the Miracle on Ice in 1980 was college kids. It was kids. It was a ragtag bunch of college kids. That's not what this was. This was 20 of the world's best hockey players facing off against another 20 of the world's best hockey players, and Team USA came out on top. That's what this was. I mean, so I don't want to hear the comparisons to the Miracle on Ice. What does it mean for some of these guys' legacies? Especially guys like Connor Hellebuck or guys like Austin Matthews who don't have a Stanley Cup to their name because obviously, I mean, Austin Matthews, probably the best player on this team. I know he was their team captain, and he's been in Toronto his entire career with the Maple Leafs. He's made the playoffs, I think, every single year of his career, but he still doesn't have that Stanley Cup title. Now he has an Olympic title to his name instead, and I think it's similar to any other sport. I mean, there's going to be more pride to win it with your team because you play 82 games with your team. You only play, 12 games in the Olympics, 10 games? You don't play 82 games with Team USA, obviously. So I think there is still more excitement to win it with your professional team. But I think it does help your legacy. I think it really does add to your legacy as a player when you are able to win gold for your country, especially when you do it against such a stacked Canadian team. I mean, essentially, this is like an all-star level tournament. But I think the national pride involved really helps. And I think the fact that a lot of these guys haven't won a Stanley Cup and might never win a Stanley Cup, this is the sort of thing that can add to your career legacy. Saying, yeah, he was the captain of Team USA in the Olympics. Olympics golds means a lot. So I do think this will help on his legacy. And it helps a lot of these guys. I mean, think about the Hughes. Both of them scoring overtime game-winning goals. That will never go away, and that will always probably be considered the greatest moment of their lives. For both Quinn in the quarterfinal game and for Jack in the finals against Canada. And then you move over to Team Canada, and you ask, what does this mean for them? What does this mean for Team Canada, who I think, had the better team on paper. And Nathan McKinnon said it himself. I mean, he said after the game, I would ask to the viewers, when you watch the game, who do you think was the best team? It probably was Canada. Again, I think they were faster. I think they had a better offensive attack. I think they were quicker. They shot 14 more times. They had 42 shots on goal. United States only with 28. So Canada's offense was better. They have a very, very talented roster. And yet they came up short. And look, it happens. The best team doesn't win every single game. Not in baseball, not in football, not in any other sport does the best team win every game. This is how it goes when you have a one-team playoff. If this was the Stanley Cup Finals and it was a 7-game series, Canada, I would think, wins. I think Canada probably wins that game 7 out of 10 times. But they didn't this time. You still have to go out and get the job done. So hopefully this will motivate them. I think this will motivate Team Canada. Canada needs to win something in hockey, I think, for their country's pride. I mean, they haven't won in the NHL since the 1990s. They have won some Olympic golds, but in the NHL era, the NHL era keeps going in and out, but either way, I think their last Olympic gold was 2010. It's been a while since Canada has won something of relevance in hockey. They did win the Four Nations Cup last year, so that matters. I don't think it matters as much as the Olympics. The Olympics is still very prestigious. But we know Canada is good. We know they're very, very good. They probably are the most talented country still at hockey in the world. This doesn't change that. The same way that Ilya Malinin not winning the gold for the men's figure skating doesn't make him... He's still the best figure skater in the world. But he didn't win the gold. So you can be the best and not win. That's very true, and I think hopefully Canada knows that and understands that. For a guy like Connor McDavid, who hasn't won yet in the NHL, doesn't have a Stanley Cup to his name, he's the best player and he hasn't won yet. I think he does have to win eventually to kind of secure his legacy. We'll talk about it in a couple weeks with the World Baseball Classic when it comes to guys like Aaron Judge. Same story, right? To secure your legacy, go out and win. Go out and win a game. A big game. Go out and win a big game. Go out and win a championship. I think McDavid will win one. I think he's too good of a player not to. But he is getting a little bit older, and maybe this adds some urgency to that. And as for Nathan McKinnon, he had probably the worst miss of the whole tournament, and it was a bad one. I mean, he had a wide open net, and the puck just bounced off the net. He's going to have some trouble sleeping for a couple weeks. I'll guarantee you that. He's going to think a lot about that moment. But when it's all said and done, he's going to go back out on the ice rink. He's going to play. He's going to go to the NHL playoffs. He'll play in the postseason. In a couple years, he'll put this all behind him. And Team Canada, very likely, will be the favorites again to win in 2030 in the French Alps. And that if they go out and do it, they can put this behind them. It'll probably be a lot of the same guys. I do feel bad for Sidney Crosby, who doesn't get a chance. I don't think him being out there would have changed the outcome. Sidney Crosby is not the player he used to be. He's not the player he once was. I do think having him out there as their captain helped Team Canada, and I feel bad for him that he didn't get a chance to go out on top, because this very likely will be his final Olympic Games. And so the fact that he had to watch his team lose from the bench sucks. Still, they should be proud of how they played. I mean, they got the silver medal. I know that people are saying the bronze medal winners go home a lot happier than the silver medal winners. I think that's true for a while, but in 2 years, it's not anymore. Like, in 2 years, you get your silver medal and you're like, "Yup, I'm a silver medalist." So I think, yes, it stings losing. It's still better than bronze, and it's certainly... They played a tournament they should be proud of. Look, Connor McDavid set the record for most points in a single tournament. 13 points. Nobody in Olympic history has scored that many points in an Olympic tournament for hockey. So he should be proud of himself. Be proud of the way they played. The whole team should. And I'm sure they'll come back stronger. They got goalied. I mean, that's what happens. The United States did not play as well, but they had a much better goalie, and it happens. And that's what happens in these big games. But I think Canada took it very well. I think they will be back. They will be stronger than ever at the next Olympics. And I think for Connor McDavid in particular and for Nathan McKinnon, those two guys, they are going to need to win a gold medal together. And I think they'll get it done. I think they'll find a way to get it done. All right, but let's, hockey's not the only thing we want to talk about here. Let's go to the rest of the Olympics and the four-man bobsled, which wrapped up today. The four-man bobsled heavily favored was Team Germany, who has absolutely dominated in the sledding sports in these Olympics. Team Germany, one of the best teams in the world, probably the best team in the world when it comes to luge, skeleton, and of course the bobsled. And they were going for what would have been an unprecedented podium sweep. Did they get it? No, in fact, they did not get it because Switzerland played spoiler and wins their first ever bobsled medal. But what color of medal did Switzerland win? Well, they didn't win the gold. Germany does take home the bronze medal in his last ever Olympic run. Johannes Lochner and his crew of Georg Fischauer, Jorn Wenzel, and Thorsten Margis, they did take home the gold medal. Lochner swept the men's bobsled events because he did win the two-man event as well, and now also wins the four-man event. Meanwhile, one of his crew members, Thorsten Margis, is now the first five-time gold medalist in bobsled history. Meanwhile, the silver medal also going to Germany. It's Francesco Friedrich. He adds a second silver medal to his haul from these games, bringing his career total to 6 Olympic medals. Francesco Friedrich, he finished second against Lochner in the two-man bobsled and then finished second again in the four-man bobsled. At that point, is there even a point in doing a two-man and a four-man competition? I don't know. It seems like if the same guys are going to win both the two-man and the four-man, might as well just have one competition, maybe do a three-man, one competition, call it a day, pick the average out. Why do you need to have two of them? I don't know. I guess it just adds more fun and adds another opportunity for guys to win medals. But, it seems kind of interesting if the same guys are going to win. But Switzerland, how about that? They win their first bobsled since 2014, snapping a 20-year four-man drought. It was a run led by rookie. Not rookie. Is his final run for Michael Vogt. Michael Vogt was in fourth place in the first 3 runs, ends up getting into the bronze medal position after his fourth run. Alex Baumann, alongside Beat Hefty, they were the last Swiss to win the gold in this event, or to win any medal in this event, but they did win gold in 2014. In fourth place was another German. It was Adam Amor. He almost took his second bronze of the game. So the Germans swept the two-men, and they come very close to sweeping the four-men as well. Switzerland, they played spoiler. Michael Vogt, Andreas Haas, Amadou David Ndiaye, and Mario Aberhad. That is the group from Switzerland. The United States ended up in 12th. Frank Del Duca in 12th place, as well as Chris Horn, the other American. He finished 11th in his Olympic debut. So the United States goes 11 and 12. Not necessarily as competitive as the Germans or as the Swiss in this event. Now, the other big gold medal team match that happened this morning was the women's curling finals between Sweden and Switzerland. This game was also very intense and very close. I was tuning in and out to this as I was also watching hockey at the time, but this was the sort of match where that deserved to be its own primetime slot, honestly. Especially, as a guy who, I'm not a big curling guy. I think I figured out the rules on the second to last day of competition. But now that I do know the rules to curling, I'm actually very, very impressed with how this tournament went. And with how Sweden and Switzerland played. They were tied 5-5 going into the final end. There's a couple early on. There was a couple of blanks. The strategy here was intense. Sweden looking for what would have been this group's second gold medal together. Switzerland looking for what would have been their first gold medal together as a group. And they were playing very well. There was not a whole lot of misses going on. It was just as good as the men's game. That's the fun thing about curling is, the men's and women's, there's almost no difference in competition level. And they are very, very good at what they do. It is a high-level sport. You watch it and you're like, I think I could do that. I don't think you could. Anyone who watches curling and says, I could do it, I don't think you could. But it was Sweden who took home the win in a narrow 6-5 victory. Anna Hasselborg, she's the one in the middle there, becomes only the second woman to win 2 Olympic gold medals as skip. She won in 2018 as well, and a lot of these women were on that same squad. 8 years older, still just as good. So yes, it was Anna Hasselborg alongside Annette Norberg. Fellow Swede, you have Sarah McManus, Agnes Krochenauer, and Sophia Scharbeck have all won 2 golds as well, and they also took the bronze in 2022. Her brother and sister brother and sister duo from Sweden claimed gold in the mixed doubles. So Sweden had a very good curling Olympics. Switzerland overall settles for the silver, similar to 2002 and 2006. The bronze medal, of course, went to Canada, who beat Team USA 10-7. But yeah, a really good performance from Sweden in this curling game. Anna Hasselborg was incredible as the skip, and the rest of the team did the job. They did exactly what they needed to do, and that's what happens. That's what happens when you play as a team. Everybody did what was expected of them, and Anna Hasselborg called a great game. She knew exactly what to do in every scenario. I mean, it felt like Sweden was in control, even with Switzerland tying the game. It always felt to me like Sweden was in control, and it felt like Switzerland was always kind of trying to play from behind, if that makes any sense. So I was happy for Sweden that they were able to win. I was happy for Switzerland that they were able to get that far. But Switzerland has had a very good Olympic Games as well, so I don't feel too bad for Switzerland in this case. Now, another competition that wrapped up on Sunday morning was the women's halfpipe skiing finals, and it was the controversial Chinese skier Eileen Gu who took home the gold medal. She put down the run of her life in the halfpipe ski. She actually didn't do very well in her first run, but it was her second run that landed her a 93.25 and ended up giving her the gold medal position. Eileen Gu, we talked about her. I don't want to talk about the controversial aspects of it again. She races for Team China. She goes to Stanford University. Very, very solid win for Eileen Gu, who is now also making history. She's the first ever freestyle skiing athlete to win 6 medals in the Olympics. So she's the most decorated freestyle skier in Winter Olympics history. Pretty cool for Eileen Gu, and pretty cool for the sport of freestyle skiing. It wasn't just her, though, that made history. In fact, this was a kind of a cool... So China takes home the gold and the bronze. The silver medalist was Zoe Atkin of Britain. And excuse me, China takes home the gold and silver. The bronze medalist was Zoe Atkin of Britain. Zoe Atkin and Eileen Gu are also classmates at the University of Stanford. So that's really interesting. Zoe Atkin of Great Britain both goes to Stanford as alongside Eileen Gu. So Eileen Gu, 22 years old, competes for her mother's homeland of China. Zoe Atkin is also in her early 20s, and she competes for her father's homeland of Britain. They're both born in America. They finished 1 and 3. Kind of cool that they both go to the same university. The silver medal goes to Li Fanggui of China as well. So China, they've been very good at freestyle skiing in these Olympics. China is kind of the freestyle skiing powerhouse at this point, you could say. And they once again take home the gold and the silver. And good for Eileen Gu. I mean, look, it's interesting how people focus on, oh my gosh, Eileen Gu, why doesn't she race for the USA? Why doesn't she ski for the USA? Because she was born here, lives in California, goes to Stanford. Well, ask the same question about Zoe Atkin, because she also was born in the USA but competes for a different country. I think it stems more from the U.S. People in the U.S. just don't like China very much. But again, like I said the other day, let her ski for whoever she wants to ski for. We don't need the medals. USA is the second most medals out of any country. We don't need it. We don't need her medals. We don't need Zoe Atkin's bronze medal. It's cool that they both live here and train here and go to school together here, but it's not that we need their medals. We don't. It doesn't give the United States any more national pride to get to claim Eileen Gu as their own. If she wants to race for her mom's country of China, let her do it. And if Zoe Atkin wants to race for her dad's country of Britain, let her do it. I don't think we have to make a big deal over every little thing like that in the United States, especially just because it's sports. It's not that deep. And again, we're number 2. It's kind of weak behavior to complain about that when you're number 2. And finally, we have the last Olympic sport to talk about before we move on to kind of the second half of this show. But the women's 50-kilometer cross-country marathon. They did the men's the other day, and Norway took home gold, silver, and bronze. Not the same can be said for the women's event. So kind of cool to see some other countries getting a chance to be on the podium in a 50-kilometer cross-country race, because obviously I think a lot of people just expected it to be Norway again, like they did in the men's. And the Norway is so good at this sport. I would have been surprised if it was that way. But in fact, it was their other Scandinavian peer, another big win for Sweden. So we're talking a lot about Sweden in this show, but that's because Sweden has had a really good close to the Olympics. Sweden with the curling, and now with a win in the women's marathon cross-country ski. It was Ebba Andersson who gets the job done. She was out in front for most of the race, almost the entire time, and she did a very, very... Apparently, this is the first time they've ever done this with women, which I'm kind of confused. Why would you not do it with women before? But I'm glad they did. I'm glad they contested this. She did very well. She was kind of going back and forth with Norway's Heidi Weng for a lot of the time, but then for the second half of the race, Ebba was clearly out in front. She went ahead of Heidi Weng. She said, "We are not going to let Norway take the gold in this one too." They iced Norway off of the gold medal discussion. Norway does take the silver. Heidi Weng does take the silver. And Switzerland comes in third. Here's what's crazy. So Heidi Weng was 2 minutes behind Anderson. The third place, bronze medal, Nadja Kalin, she was 6 minutes behind Ebba Anderson. 6 and almost 7 minutes, but she was 6 minutes and 41 seconds behind. She does take the bronze medal. There's basically a chase group the whole time behind the front two athletes. There's 5 women who were all kind of in the mix for bronze, and that's kind of that was the big story, was who's going to claim bronze. The United States' Jessie Diggins was looking for that in what was her final Olympic race. She is a cross-country skiing legend, if you're not familiar with Jessie Diggins. One of the greatest to ever do it in the sport of cross-country skiing. This is her. And Jessie Diggins, multiple gold medals in her Olympic career. She had a real opportunity to claim bronze in this event. She was right there with 5 other women going for that bronze medal. They sprinted to the finish line, and she lost it to Switzerland. So, unfortunately, she ends up coming in 6th place. Still had a great final run, I think. She had a great time. She does win a bronze medal at these Olympic Games, adding to her medal total count. And, Jessie Diggins is really, really good. One of the best to ever do it in women's cross-country skiing. So, definitely no shame for her that she doesn't wind up on the podium here. Honestly, I was just impressed she even got as close as she did. The fact that she came so close to reaching the podium is a testament to what she's been able to achieve and the longevity she's been able to achieve in her cross-country skiing career. So with the Olympics all done and wrapped up, let's take a look at the final medal count. What does it look like? Well, it looks like Norway, who dominated these Olympics better than they ever have, 18 gold medals, 12 silver, 11 bronze for a total of 41. It's the most gold medals ever won by a country in a single Olympic Games. It's the most total medals ever won by a country in a single Olympic Games. And that's just what Norway does. They dominate the Winter Olympics like nobody else. Team USA does come in 2nd place with 12 golds, 12 silvers, the most silvers out of any country, tied for the most silvers out of any country, and 9 bronze medals, 33 total. And then in a tie for third, you have the Netherlands and Italy. I think Italy probably should be number 3. They have 10 more total medals. Italy had more bronze than any other team with 14. They won 6 silvers and 10 golds for 30 total medals. They blew away their previous. They had never won more than 17 medals, and they won 30 in these games, including 10 golds. Very, very impressive for the home country, and again, that home field advantage really helps them out. The Netherlands, they surged to win 10 gold medals. They only had 4 going into the final 4 days. They win 6 golds in the final 4 days, all of them coming in speed skating. They end up with 7 silvers and 3 bronze medals. Germany in 5th with 8 golds, 10 silvers, 8 bronze for a total of 26. Most of those coming on either luge, skeleton, or bobsled. You got France with 8 gold medals, 9 silvers, and 6 bronze. They actually did very well with 23 total medals. Sweden wins 8 gold medals as well, 6 silver, 4 bronze, for a total of 18 medals. And Sweden adding 2 gold medals on the last day of competition to get into that spot. We have Switzerland with 6 golds, and then a bunch of countries with 5. Austria with 5. Japan with 5. Canada with 5. China with 5. So a lot of countries with 5 gold medals. You can see Japan 24 total, Canada with 21 total, Switzerland 23 total. And then from there, you got a very stark fall off. South Korea, 10 total medals, 3 golds, 4 silver, 3 bronze. Australia had their best Winter Olympics ever, but still only winning 6 medals, 3 golds, 2 silvers, 1 bronze. Britain also had a very strong Olympics by their standards with 3 golds, 1 silver, 1 bronze, 5 total. Czechia with 5 total as well, 2 golds, 2 silvers. Slovenia wins 2 golds, 2 of 4. Spain with 1 gold and 3 total medals, and then you got both Brazil and Kazakhstan with 1 gold apiece. The best country not to win gold would probably be Finland. They win 1 silver, 5 bronze for 6 total medals. Poland also with 4 medals, but not a single gold. And down at the very bottom, Latvia with 2, and then a bunch of countries with just 1. Denmark, Estonia, Georgia winning their first Olympic medal ever. And down at the very bottom, Bulgaria with just 2 silvers, 2 lonesome silvers, and Belgium, who had just the 1 silver medal. Well, at the end of the day, it was a very strong Olympics. I really enjoyed it. Again, Norway, USA, Netherlands is the 1, 2, 3. I guess that goes gold, silver, bronze. That's why Netherlands comes in at 3, because they have more bronze. They have more silvers than Italy. Italy won just a bunch of bronze. And that is your official Winter Olympics medal count of 2026. And what's interesting to me is the way that certain countries can dominate certain sports so well. I mean, you look at Norway. Look at what they were able to achieve in the medal count. So many of their medals coming from cross-country skiing. They won 14 medals in cross-country, 11 in biathlon, and all three of them in Nordic combined. They went 3 for 3 in the golds in Nordic combined. So out of their 41 medals, 28 of them came from these 3 sports that they just dominate so much. That's really impressive. But they're not the only country that dominates an event. How about the Netherlands? Well, the Netherlands, look at what they did. Look what they did in this medals. The Netherlands won all 10 of their medals came in either speed skating or short track speed skating with 10 gold medals. That's, by the way, their national gold record. Not just their records, though. All 20 of their medals came in either speed skating or short track. All 7 of their silvers, all 3 of their bronze, and all 10 of their golds. Again, it's dominance in one specific thing. And I do consider short track and speed skating, they're very similar sports. How about Germany? Check out this. Check out the German medal table. Germany dominated on the sledding sport. So you can see they have 1 gold in ski jumping. Everything else coming from the bobsleigh and the luge and the skeleton. Well, skeleton, they win 3 silvers and 3 bronze in skeleton. They didn't get a gold in skeleton, but they get 6. And then they have 8 in bobsleigh, 5 in luge. So what is that? 13 plus 6. 21 of their 26 medals came in either bobsleigh, luge, or skeleton, including 6 of their 8 golds and 8 of their 10 silvers. They won a couple bronze. They get a bronze in biathlon, a bronze in cross-country skiing, and a bronze in figure skating. But it was mostly those sledding sports, again, for Germany. And that's not the only country. How about Japan? Japan wins 24 medals. How many of those medals came in snowboarding? 9. 9 of them coming in snowboarding and 6 in figure skating. So outside of snowboard and figure skating, Japan, kind of weak. And in fact, let's take a look at China. China won 15 medals at these games. Taking a look at what they were able to do among those 15 medals. Almost all of them came from freestyle skiing. 9 of their 15 medals coming in freestyle skiing. And a couple in snowboarding, a couple in speed skating, but mostly in freestyle skiing. And even, let's check out one more country just for fun. I'm not sure if this is going to prove my point or not. But I want to check out South Korea's, because I strongly suspect South Korea is going to be in a similar boat where almost all of their medals coming from the same events. And what do you know? Let's wait for it to load. There we go. Short track speed skating, 7 out of their 10 medals, including 2 golds, 3 silvers, and 2 bronze. These countries are specifying. Countries are really starting to specify. Even France won 13, more than half of their medals, came in biathlon. 13 out of their 23 in biathlon. The countries are specifying down to 1 or 2 niche sports, because they realize that's their best chance at dominating in the Olympics, to dominate one single sport. The only country who doesn't do that, who won a bunch of medals, is the United States. Look at what the United States did. Look at where their medals came in. It's diversified. And they won 8 in freestyle skiing, and you could say they're probably right there with China as the best in freestyle skiing. But after that, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Look at the golds. 3 in freestyle, 2 in speed skating, 2 in alpine skiing, 2 figure skating, 2 ice hockey, 1 in bobsleigh. The silvers and the bronze are also equally spread out. So while other countries are diversifying, while other countries are specifying, other countries are honing in on one specific sport. The USA is diversifying. The United States is just consistently sending out medal contenders in every single sport. The United States is the only country that is sending out legit medal contenders in almost every sport, even the ones they didn't win a medal in. They didn't win a medal in. They won a medal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 out of the, 15 sports. They didn't get one in ski mountaineering, but they came very close. They were 4th. They didn't get one in biathlon. They didn't get one in Nordic combined. That's almost pretty much it. They got one in almost everything else, including both of the hockey gold medals, which is very prestigious, and 2 figure skating gold medals. This was a very good Olympics for Team USA, and it's proving that the USA's best path is to diversify. Focus on sending out the best athletes in all of the sports. If every country ran their Olympic program like the USA did, I think the USA would actually win more medals. Because other countries can't afford to have such a wide variety of medal contenders. So other countries are specifying. United States, they don't need to specify. They're going big or going home. And I love it. And what it resulted in for Team USA by not specifying is the best Olympics they've ever had outside of the 2010 games in Vancouver, which was almost right on their home turf. Now, notably absent from these Winter Olympics was the country of Russia. And I do think this is worth talking about a little bit. Now, not to get political. I don't like to do this, but, I don't agree with what Russia's doing. I think it's pretty atrocious what they're doing in the country of Ukraine. So I understand exactly why they're being left out. At the same time, I'm not sure I agree. Is it fair to punish the athletes for the mistakes of the government and military? I'm not sure. And I think this is a valid debate to have, a very open, valid debate to be had. Is it okay to do that? Is it okay to punish? And that is what it is. This is a punishment to the athletes. This is a punishment to the athletes who are not allowed to perform because of what their country is doing, not because of what they're doing. I understand there were some doping allegations as well, and some cheating scandals. Most Russian athletes were not doping and cheating. And that's not why they're banned. They're banned because of what the government and military is doing in Ukraine. And I get why. I get it. I agree it's terrible and abhorrent. It's clearly not stopping them. Right? Vladimir Putin is not... he's not going to stop the invasion just because Russia was left out of the Olympics, unfortunately. And I think it's hard to have a Winter Olympics and say we're going to have all the best athletes in the world, but then not include Russia, who is traditionally one of the better countries in the Winter Olympics. And they haven't been as dominant as they were in the past, but they've always been good at figure skating. They've always been good at some of the Nordic sports like cross-country skiing and biathlon. They've been solid at some of the downhill sports. They win plenty of medals, right? Russia wins plenty of medals at these games. And it just seems like to remove that country, one of the biggest countries in the world with a massive population, it seems to me like I don't know. I think it's an open-ended question, and I think it's something that maybe should be looked at and considered and said, well, maybe we can change that. Could we change it? Maybe. Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. I would say, again, I think it's up for debate whether we should or shouldn't let Russia back into the Olympics in 2028. I hope that their government has gotten over itself by then. It probably won't have. And then we'll just have to see what they do, I guess. Now, finally, I want to talk about the closing ceremonies, and these were just absolutely breathtaking. Italy really knows how to put on a show. The art, the spectacle, the international beauty. I love every bit of the Olympics. Clearly, you guys can tell. I love talking about them. I love watching them. I love reporting on them. I love covering them. The closing ceremonies was a real spectacle, and it was so, so fun. I mean, like I said, Italy really knows how to put on a show. They did this spectacularly. I thought the art was amazing. The colors, the music, it was all amazing. I mean, that's really as easy as I could put it. It was all amazing. It was all very beautiful, well done, well produced. It was a glistening production. And I was all here for it. I watched the whole thing. The music was great. The parade of athletes was perfect. I will say I thought Connor Hellebuck should have carried in the U.S. flag for his efforts in that hockey game. I thought he deserved it. bringing gold to Team USA. But either way, it was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. I love it. I love seeing all the countries out there. Yeah, man, I love it, and I can't wait. I cannot wait for 2028 Olympics. So here's what we're gonna do. Tomorrow we're gonna do a full Olympics recap. We're gonna actually do 2 days of that. So Monday and Tuesday are both gonna be full Olympic recap shows, and then we're gonna get back into the swing of things on Wednesday. So the rest of the week we'll do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're gonna have one day dedicated to NBA, one day dedicated to the NHL, and one day dedicated to college basketball, because I think we do have to cover those 3 sports as we are about the midway point of the NHL and NBA, a little bit past the midway point, in fact. And for college hoops, we are almost to March Madness. We're going to have to get right in on that. But so much fun. We're having so much fun covering these Olympics. And again, great job to Italy. They were wonderful hosts. I thought the culture was great. NBC put on a show as well. NBC was great at producing these games. Overall, very, very good. I would say 10 out of 10 Olympics.